What's going on, everybody? The original Mako back with some more Gunfire Reborn content, and today we have a video that has taken a while to come out, but I wanted to make sure I got these right. It's going to be the Reincarnation tips and tricks, some tips and tricks that'll hopefully help you beat those Reincarnation levels all the way up through level 7. At this point, I feel like if I was, trying to beat every single run on Reincarnation 7, most of these tips would make it pretty, I don't want to say easy, but definitely a lot easier than when I was trying to without knowing some of this stuff. So hopefully these will help you win some runs, even on the lower Reincarnation levels. But I'm going to go through 5 of the most important tips and tricks I have found throughout this. But before we get to that, make sure you check the links in the description. As always, check out the Twitch. We are bordering on like halfway to partner. So if you can follow, if you see me live, if you could lurk, if you can come and interact, we have a lot of cool people to talk to. But anything helps out. I already appreciate all the support you guys have been giving on the Twitch channel and on here. So thank you guys a lot. The fact that I can even remotely do this, and makes a little bit of extra money off of it and interact with an amazing community that I've found. I mean, every day I wake up and I get ready to stream, and I'm so excited to talk to everybody. It's just so much fun, and reading all the comments and stuff. So thank you guys. Once again, I'm going to keep pushing that Twitch channel, and then check out the second channel as well. It's also linked in the description. A new series I'm hopefully going to be starting over there soon. Pokemon Randomizer Nuzlocke. Should be a lot of fun. Anyways, let's not delay any further. Let's hop into it. Now, you might be thinking, why are we at the start of a run here? Well, the number, or the 5, tip number 5. So this is like the least important. I'm going to go least important to most important, in my opinion. If you are just trying to win runs, okay, you don't care about being, trying out different builds, you don't care about, and you're just trying to grind through each Reincarnation level, then you are going to want to play the cat. The cat is the most optimal character. On Twitch recently, if you haven't been there, I've been trying to beat Reincarnation 7 on every character. The cat was the first one I got it done with. The rest took a few tries. Cat, I did it first try. And I think that video is up on the channel. But the other characters are definitely more difficult than this character. Now, why is that, you may be asking? Well, let's go through a couple of things. Number 1, the cat has 2 extremely important remnants. First one, and the most important one, being Elemental Maestro. Gain a buff for 4 seconds every 10 seconds that grants you plus 100% elemental damage and guarantees elemental effects. This will tie into another tip that I have later on, and you'll see why this is such a big deal. But just this remnant is the single best remnant in the game. It is absolutely absurd. Guaranteeing elemental effects is really good, and the fact that you're doubling your damage because of the plus 100% elemental damage is absurd, and you're doing that almost half the run. You're doing it for 40% of the run. 40% of your entire run, you're going to be doing double elemental damage and guaranteed elemental damage. So this single remnant is silly. It's so good. And the second one that the cat has is Smog-Bound Zone. It has a third one like that's special to the cat, but this is the other important one. Plus 40% smoke grenade effective range, so you are increasing the range of the smoke grenade significantly. 5 seconds added to the duration. That is a significant amount of time. That's not a joke. That is a significant amount of time. And minus 20% damage taken when you or your teammate are in the area of the smoke grenade. So if you're standing in the smoke grenade, which now has increased duration and increased range, you are going to be taking 20% less damage. Now, this will tie into the next tip I'm going to give, but 20% damage on higher Reincarnation levels is huge. That's a significant amount of damage reduction. Damage reduction. And having damage reduction is a big deal in higher levels. And these two work really well together because obviously smoke grenades do acid damage. So if you have elemental buffs that are buffing the smoke grenades, not only are they helping you, they're hurting enemies. And Smog-Bound Zone also pairs very well with, let's go back to the lobby here. a very, very important ascension that the cat has, which is the other reason that this character is unbelievably good on Reincarnation 7, Hex Smoke. Enemies affected by your grenade will deal minus 50% damage and take plus 20% damage for 6 seconds. That's at tier 1. That is at tier 1. So if you have Smog-bound Zone and tier 1 Hex Smoke, and you're standing in your smoke grenade, and you've made sure to cover every enemy with your Hex Smoke, all the enemies are going to be doing 70% less damage to you. You're getting 20% damage reduction from standing in your smoke grenade, and the enemies have minus 50% damage because they're Hex Smoked. If you have this at tier 3, it's minus 90%. And you're just dealing increased damage to enemies. On lower levels, like Nightmare, Nightmare and below, not on Reincarnation, this isn't as important because enemies aren't really even close to one-shotting you or two-shotting you. In Reincarnation 7, enemies, specifically in the desert and like exploding lanterns and whatnot, are going to one-shot you. So having Hex Smoke plus Smog-bound Zone and Elemental Maestro, all three of those, even if you just have one tier of Hex Smoke, you are going to almost certainly win the run. As long as you make sure you get everything in the room with your Hex Smoke, which is easier now because, because you have, the grenades and whatnot. I need to go to the talent tree, which I can't go to right now. But every time you use a certain amount of ammo, you get a secondary skill back. So you're going to have your grenades most of the time. So being able to Hex Smoke everything in a room is really not a big deal. Plus, if you have Smog-bound Zone, it extends the range anyway to cover more things. So the cat is optimal in Reincarnation, especially the higher levels like 5, 6, 7. Cat is 100% the easiest and best option for trying to clear those levels if that's your only goal. Obviously, there's a lot of other fun builds on other characters to do, stuff like that. But if your only goal is to win, play the cat. Next up, our number 4 tip here is, I harped on it a lot here with like the Hex Smoke and the Smog-bound Zone, but defensive scrolls, ascensions, buffs are more important than offensive, in my opinion, on like Reincarnation 5, 6, 7. Okay? On Reincarnation 1 through 4, you can get away with doing a offense is the best defense build, where you're just killing things so quick it doesn't even matter. But you're going to need defensive stuff at 7, because no matter how fast you're killing things, if you're still in one-shot range, then your run can end at any second. You miss one Bandit Retainer, boom, you're dead. Bandit Tactician, boom, you're dead. White Shark gets a hook on you, boom, you're dead. So on like Reincarnations 5, 6, and 7, you need defensive scrolls, defensive ascensions. Some good examples. Now, there's a specific couple that are going to be a different. The next tip, I'm gonna separate them because of how important they are. But there's a couple of things such as movement speed, so propulsion device, snow boots to make you immune to slows, abnormal speed, anything that gives you increased movement speed. Decay driver is extremely important because being able to dodge white hook or shark hooks, bandit tacticians, bandit retainers, longbowmen, being able to strafe and dodge those projectiles that can track you, or the hook that's super annoying to deal with, is very important. Not to mention there are agile enemies, so enemies that are a little bit faster. If you get like an agile lantern or bomber or something that's already really fast, the faster you are, the better your chances are of staying alive. That's just always how it's going to be. Another thing that helps a lot with defense is Painkiller. It's one of the new remnants that just came out, and basically you're immune to elemental debuffs, and the opposite thing happens. So if you have fire elemental debuff, you gain health per second. If you have the toxic debuff, where you're normally slowed, you're actually faster. And then if you have the lightning one, where normally things would do extra damage to you, I haven't actually tested it, but it's either things do less damage to you or you do more damage to other things. So either way, you're getting a lot of buffs because chances are you're going to be in elemental effects a lot. So if you can combine, especially if you can combine Painkiller with like Fire Enthusiast, Lightning Enthusiast, or Corrosion Enthusiast, which give you buffs, additional buffs on top of it, you're going to be in a really, really good place. So Painkiller is a super, super good remnant as well. It doesn't matter what character you're playing. Painkiller with the Enthusiasts is an amazing combo. But defensive scrolls are going to be super, super important. Anything else that helps, like one of the MVPs, Gold Medal, really, really, really good. Airbag and Persistent, Backup Shield, Safety Measures, Lightless Shield, Phantom Skin. There are a lot of really, really good defensive scrolls. Okay? So building defensively shouldn't be too difficult a lot of the times. You're going to have good options. But there's a couple of scrolls that work really well, that go well together specifically, that are going to be my number 3 tip, just because of how important I think they are on specifically Reincarnation 7, but all the higher tiers of Reincarnation. And that is Spirit Feline being the first one. Okay, so Spirit Feline I think is the best single defensive scroll in Reincarnation 6 and 7. So you take an additional 100% damage from everything, okay? But the damage from every hit will not exceed 14% of the sum of your health and armor. So nothing can do more than 14% health damage to you in one shot. This just significantly nerfs bandit retainers and tacticians, okay? The lizards in the desert that have the shotguns, okay? Those things do a lot of damage. It can completely nullify that. It does make traps, like fire traps and annihilation monks, a little more, anything that does a lot of damage very quickly, like low damage but very fast. It makes those somewhat annoying to deal with. But if you compare it with some of these other defensive scrolls, Spirit Feline protecting you from random one-shots will save you a lot more runs than it will hurt you in runs. So it's super important and a wonderful scroll to have, and it pairs extremely well with Deflection Shield. Minus 90% damage taken from enemies 15 meters away, plus 90 from enemies within 15 meters. The plus 90 from enemies within 15 meters most of the time isn't going to matter because they can't do more than 14% of your max health anyway. And if you have Spirit Feline, they were already going to do that if they hit you up close. But you also get an additional damage reduction from enemies that are 15 meters away. So these two pair really, really well together. Obviously, you still have to watch out for Annihilation Monks and fire traps. Anything that does extra damage, or a lot of like low damage but very quickly, you still have to watch out for. But these two pair really well together, and Spirit Feline alone is an amazing scroll to have on Reincarnation 6, 7. I mean, a lot of the Reincarnations, maybe not like 1, 2, 3, or 4, but like 5, 6, 7, you're going to want to look for Spirit Feline, 100%. Next up, our number 2 tip, and a very important one, that's why it's, the number 2 tip, is target prioritization. I've said this in like every tips and tricks video for difficulty. I think I said it for the Nightmare difficulty, and I'm going to say it on Reincarnation. Every level of difficulty, that like every time difficulty goes up, being able to figure out which targets you need to kill first is the most important thing you can do. Some specific examples, obviously, exploding lanterns. If you're running that Spirit Feline build, Annihilation Monks, you're going to want to kill them quick. Corrupted Monks, you always want to kill them fast so they can't summon lanterns. Bandit Retainers and Tacticians because of how much damage they do. Rogue Arsonists because they're going to basically ruin your day if they get too close to you. Figuring out, and it can be a little different for everybody. Some people will have certain enemies that they're like, I just can't deal with this. I hate dealing with it. I need to deal with them quick. And other people might be like, I can wait until later to kill that enemy. But there are some that you need to kill right away. And figuring out which enemies, like the ones I just named, that you need to make sure you prioritize first is extremely important. So being able to eliminate those targets off the map, one of the best things you can do in any difficulty if you're just trying to beat it. But especially at like Reincarnation, any of the Reincarnation levels, if you can target prioritize really well, you're going to be in a really, really good place. You're going to give yourself a much higher chance to win every single run you do. And that just comes with playing, okay? Being able to know like what kind of enemies are going to spawn in rooms, stuff like that. The more you play, the better you'll get at target prioritization. But that's a huge, huge tip that I can give you. And I tried to name some of the enemies that I like to target prioritize. But like I said, it might be a little bit different for everybody. And then number one, the best tip I can give everybody by a huge stretch is I don't care what character you're playing. If you want to be the most optimal, you should build elemental synergies. You should 100% build elemental synergies. Okay? The cat obviously excels at this. That's why I think it's the best character. It has additional buffs that specifically come from remnants to help elemental builds. But elemental builds will win you runs because the weapons on their own, most of the time, are not going to do enough damage to be like worthwhile. Even dual wielding with the dog, like you want the extra elemental buffs to do additional damage, because if you're just using like a scalpel and a tiger cannon or something like that, you're going to do decent damage, but it's not going to be good enough. So having, any sort of elemental synergy, the enthusiast plus painkiller, like I said before, all these elemental relics, elemental cube, having all the different shards, elemental weave is a really good one to have. The different hoops, obviously, the realm of corrosion, magnetic coil, and blazing hoop, super, super useful to have. But the other big one is whatever weapons you have, try to have elemental weapons going into the third area and get Gemini effects on them, specifically the one that allows you to share elemental types with the other weapon. Because if you're consistently doing with just one weapon 2 elemental types, or even 3 if you have a dual fang, then you are going to be set. You're going to be set. Especially if you can get like fire and lightning to do the friend maker elemental combo. Being able to basically just stop an enemy from attacking you, insanely good. The best combo I can possibly think of is a dual fang plus a lightning weapon that both have the Gemini to allow you to share damage types with the other weapon, which means both weapons are doing all 3 elemental damage types. Having that plus elemental weave, where if you swap weapons for 3 seconds, you're guaranteed to do elemental effects, or just elemental maestro on the cat, which is guaranteed to do elemental effects for 4 seconds out of every 10 seconds. That will win you runs alone, easily. You will easily clear Reincarnation 7 if you are doing all 3 elemental types consistently, because enemies are going to be stunned, they're going to be exploding, and they're going to be taking damage over time. Not stunned, but attacking each other, not attacking you. That's less important than the fact that they're just not attacking you. That's the important thing. So if you are consistently doing those 3 things, all of the elemental combos, you just win the run. So even if you don't have like a dual fang, if you get the extra coil that you need, where every 10 seconds you're guaranteed to do some elemental damage, or on the cat, if you want to run like a lightning and fire weapon, and then your smoke grenades will do the acid for you. There are so many ways to build it, and it works well on every single character. Every single character you want to try to at least try to find lightning and fire. If you can find just those 2, even just those 2 can win you runs, and if you get the Gemini effect on it. So elemental weapons are absolutely key in Reincarnation levels, like up there at the higher levels. Obviously, these tips aren't like the only way to win runs. I've been winning runs a lot of different ways. There should be a fun bird tiger cannon Reincarnation 7 run coming soon. But these are the tips that if you're just trying to get through Reincarnation, or you're stuck, or even if you're on like Elite or Nightmare and you're stuck, these kind of tips will help. But they're specifically for Reincarnation because like those remnants that I talked about are really important. Spirit Feline, something that's pretty exclusively good to Reincarnation. Target priority is good at all levels. Defense is the best defense, is only for higher Reincarnation levels. At Nightmare and Elite, you can definitely do an offense as the best defense build. But these are the tips that are going to help you guys if you're stuck. Hopefully you guys, if this helps you guys out, let me know in the comments if it does. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Help each other out in the comments. I'm sure there's people that think there's better ways than what I came up with, but this is just from me playing personally the best things that, if I would have known this going into Reincarnation, probably could have gone 1 through 7 pretty easily. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. Like I said, make sure to check those links in the description. Hopefully these tips help you guys. But yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate it. I love each and every one of your faces. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video.